G'day viewers, how you doing? I thought that you might like a introduction to switching for those of you who have not been around trains before. We're going to use a pair of SD40s here, and we're going to jump in now. First thing I'm going to do is put my reverser in, then I'm going to turn on my gen field so we can create electricity, this being a diesel electric locomotive. Turn on my gauge lights, set my lights to front, bright and ditch. I should do that with the rail driver actually, it'll just reset them. I'm going to, the brakes are cut in as freight, I'm going to release the handle, open up this and turn the warning devices on, which is the alerter. This is my useless assistant, she'll just sit there and do pretty much nothing, because that's what she does. Alrighty, we can get out of here in a moment. Let's just check where we're going first. So this is us here in this set of locomotives, just underneath the San Bernadino maintenance set out there. It'd be helpful if they were up under the train, wouldn't it? And we're going to set this switch because it's wrong. And then we'll cruise out along here. That one's correct. And then we're going to come across here and then stop. So we're not going very far. And we'll release the independent brake. We are going downhill, so there's no point in throttling up before we release the brakes. You can see here we've got our speedometer here, and we've got a positive rate of acceleration. If you're slowing down, you get a negative number here. When the alerter fires off, which is the warning device I turned on, this light will flash and then it will make a noise. If you don't acknowledge it, it'll stop the train. Now we do have a limit in the yard of 10 mile an hour. To maintain that limit I will only use the independent brake. There's no point using dynamics when you've got such a short consist. It's a little warm in Southern California this morning, so let's just open up the windows. And yes, the bell is annoying, but Americans like to have a bell running when they're shunting or switching in a yard. One of those amusing things, of course, you've got this thing, it's enormous and it's orange, and surely you'd notice it coming, and surely if you didn't notice it coming, a little tiny bell probably wouldn't help much. But you know, sometimes the people at the shallow end of the gene pool need to be helped. There's our alerter. I've acknowledged that with the Q key, which would be circle or B on your console keyboards. I do have the stop marker turned on, you can see it up there. Control 1 turns that on and off. I find it useful in switching services to have that turned on. I usually turn it off in other services. And you want to stop when you're going forwards with your front bogie just sitting on the stop marker. It'll be about the right spot. I'm just starting to slow down now. Sounds like there might be a train going over the top of us there. There we go, that'll be about it. Perfect. Alright, now we're going to be going back the other way. So what's changed? Well, we need to set these points because we came from this track. So we need to set those ones. Now I can set them from the map like this. We're only going to go back up there. I've also got to change these ones. Or the other way to do it is you can jump on one of the external cameras. So the 8 camera is an example, and race over to where the points are and flip them over. There we go. And you can also do that with the 3 camera. If you're on a console, I encourage you to plug in a keyboard. Now we are going to be going uphill this time, so I'll get some power happening first, and we'll see this go into the green, so we're generating electricity. And then I'll release the independent brake so that we don't roll, and we'll start going in the direction we want. I tend to use the 3 camera when switching. I use that quite a lot. I just pressed it twice. Once to take me to the back of the first locomotive, and the second time to take me to the back of the train, which in this case is the second locomotive in our consist, which is the back. You could also change ends if you wanted to, but it's not really worth it. So basically we came from that track over there and we've come down here, and now we're coming back to this point here. This is quite normal in the world of shunting and switching, is just shuffling around a yard. Start slowing down, just putting our back bogie onto the marker will be sufficient. I know it says 37 yards, but that's to the front of the train. You don't really need to do that most of the time. But do check, because there might be points and things like that. So we're pretty close to these points. So let's flip that one over now. Those ones look good. And just scroll along through the map. Make sure they're all okay. And they do all look good to where we're going. Don't want to go to the wrong place. So back into forwards now. Couple of horns. We'll be going downhill this time. There you go. The gradient thing can be a little bit deceptive because it's facing the way you last moved. So you noticed it was uphill before and now it's down. That's because I remembered we were going up before we moved. So I'm going to come off the power now. We do have a 10 mile an hour limit. Put a little bit of independent brake on just to check that acceleration. So we don't really need it. Got Speedy Snail here and Speedy Snail's brother heading along. Now the other thing you've got to watch for in these yards, particularly on this route, and it's new to this route, so this is a new thing I think. There is so much traffic moving around in these yards at various times of the day, it's actually quite likely that you'll encounter something else moving. And in a yard, there's no signals to protect you, so you've got to keep an eye out. I have had a close call and a couple of amusing incidents. So the alerter is going, so I'll acknowledge that with the Q key for your circle on your console. Now we're going to couple up to this consist of cars sitting up in front of us. You want to do that at no more than 4 miles an hour, but don't do it at a ridiculously low speed either, or they won't couple properly. So we can keep going at 10 for the moment because we have light engines, so it's very easy to slow them down. So I'm going to start slowing down now, just put on a fair bit of brake. It's okay with the independent brake to be a bit rough in your applications because you're only a light engine movement. Might have slowed that down just a little bit too much, but we're going to pick up speed again because we are going downhill. It actually wants me to stop before we couple up by the looks of it, so we'll do that. Just following our instructions. I dare say it's going to get us to stop and then it's going to get us to couple. So we'll brake now. Good enough. And indeed, it wants us to couple up now. So it just had us doing a safety stop. So if we have a look out here. Let's come up to notch 2 very briefly. Just want to get us up to at least a few miles an hour. So we couple properly. That'll do. Bang! Alright, now we'll just give a light brake application and we're going to uncouple 13 from up here. So it's a good thing I'm on the outside camera. Let's just turn off the bell. It's a good thing I'm on an outside camera because you can just fly up here and do this. You can also walk up here if you want to. You can get out of the locomotive and walk along. After it all, it is Train Sim World, and that's what it means. Go for a walk in the world. But to be honest, I'd rather fly. So the actual counter isn't going to come down because it's measuring the distance from the locomotive, and we're on a camera, so we're not actually moving. But this will be the one because the pointer is right. There you go, and we'll see, wait a moment while it figures out whether we pulled the right one, and it knows we did, so that's fine. Alright, now it wants us to go the other way, I assume. It does, so those points are correct. We'll just follow this through. Sometimes it sets the points for you, sometimes it doesn't, like this one. You can force it to always set them, it's in the settings. You can say set the points manually. There we go, we're going to head all the way down there. So that's fine. Go into reverse now. Now I'm going to, remember we put a light brake application on. I'm going to fully apply the independent brake and I'm going to release the train brake. Let that pump up. I'm going to apply a couple of notches of power while the independent brake's holding us. We are powering now because our power meter's come into the green, so I'll release the independent brake. It may take the back of the train a little while to pump up. It's saying 83. I'd be surprised if it did put a Fred on, so that's probably telling us the pressure on the locomotive that's up there behind us. So we do have a Fred. Let's pop down there and have a look. I'd be a little bit surprised. Where is it separating? Here. Somewhere? Somewhere. Here it's separating. Did it put on a Fred? It did. Look at that. So it actually is telling us the pressure from the train, and 90, I think that said. So we're getting a real pressure indication from the back, and yeah, nearly 90. Let's take another notch now that we're actually moving. You want to be fairly gentle with freight because freight's heavy. Passenger trains, you can pretty much go straight to notch 8 if you really want to. You might slip a little bit, but you can. With freight, if you pull too hard, you'll actually snap the couplers. And while that's not actually modelled in this game, it is modelled in others, and it's just good practice. I find the 3 camera is very helpful when you're trying to watch where you're going, when you're using a locomotive that's not leading. Everything does seem to be trundling along with us. Not much else moving in the yard at the moment, which is unusual, as I mentioned before. Most freight services I've done, there's been something tooling around. There's the alerter going off, just acknowledge that again. If you want to see how to recover if the alerter stops you, you have a look in the SD40 tutorial for Train Sim World 5 that I've put out. It's in the same playlist as this one. We're almost at 10 miles an hour now, so we're just a little bit under it. So I've just throttled back from notch 3 to notch 2. We are slowing down at that point. So I'll probably have to juggle between 2 and 3, 2 and 3 as we go. Going through points and curves does rob you of a fair bit of your speed. We can see our stopping marker is 480 odd yards away. If you're a metric person, it's about 480 odd metres as well. A yard and a metre, while for all intents and purposes you could just call them the same for this, because that's going to be accurate enough. In reality, a yard is slightly shorter. .9 now. Interestingly, when I saw this thing occasionally go to 0, I thought it was a bug. But then I saw a video, and we are starting to speed up, so I'm just going to power off, because we're starting to go downhill. I saw a video where it actually does do that. And I thought, you know, it might be a bug in the real device, and they've implemented it in game. And I thought, that's kind of cool. Alright, we've got 200 odd yards to go. We're going to want to start braking fairly soon. Let's put that side on the outside camera, because it is pretty close. Actually, no, that signal doesn't apply to us. It doesn't matter if we go past it. So I've just gone for an initial reduction at the moment, and that is pulling us down. I'm going to release that again now, because we're down to 5 miles an hour. We have started going uphill again. It'll take a little while for the brakes to actually release, and you can hear there's a bit of jostling going on with the couplings. There's another train moving over there. One of the passenger services is about to fly over the top of us. It's kind of cool. If we'd been running a little bit late, that would be screenshot worthy. Let's put a little bit of power on just to help us get to that point. The reason I say that signal doesn't apply is because it's for the track next to us. Generally speaking, in America, the signals are on your right. Back to idle, but we'll keep an eye on it. But we are going to have to keep powering. We have got a fairly long and heavy service back there. Now, putting the front bogie of the front locomotive on that should be adequate. Generally speaking, when you're heading towards the marker, it's the part of the train that reaches the marker first is the part that it needs to stop at the marker. So the numbers can be a little bit deceptive. Look at the position of your train, because the number is measuring from where you are to the stopping point. Go. In fact, I've put myself right on top of the marker. There it is, right there. Just past it. That'll be fine. Alright, where does it want to go now? San Bernadino A yard in 1.2 miles. But which way does it want to go? Does it want to go ahead of us? Doesn't look like it. So it probably wants to go that way. Which means we must have to set some points. Yes, we do. We have to set that one to go onto our path. We need to set this one, although we could probably trail through that. And that one's okay. And then we're going to come down into this yard here. How far are we going to go? Quite a long way down. Alright, let's get on with that. So we spin around. Change directions to forwards because we're going to be pushing it that way. And put some beans on. Wait until the bean counter gets into the green and off it goes. And then we will release the brakes. I explained the gauges in our tutorial, but the red one here is the main reservoir. That's the one that stores the air that runs the brakes. Equalizing reservoir is the one that puts the brakes on and off in the locomotive. And will equalize with the pipe. The white is the brake pipe pressure. It's measuring it at the locomotive though, not the other end. And the red one is the amount of pressure in the brake cylinder. The unmarked CFM doesn't really work in the game, unfortunately. And this is measuring the air pressure at the back. So remember, we've got 90 at the front, but we've still only got 84 at the back. So it's still pumping it up. Yeah, that's right. 85 at the back now. Now, to help with the shunting, remember the 3 cameras? Well, when you're connected to things, they don't really remember you are, so you can just fly along the train with the 3 camera and go up here and keep an eye on what's going on. Because you wouldn't want to just back blindly through the yard in case something else was moving, because you'll run into it. And then you'll have that uncomfortable meeting with the boss. Where they sit down and the first thing out of their mouth is, "Mate, really don't know how to tell you this, but you did about $500,000 worth of damage today, and upstairs they said you got to go. So, you know, it's not my choice. I'm really sorry. If it was my choice, you know you'd be staying." There's the alerter. But upstairs, mate, I just can't fight them. Fun, huh? Why do you think yards have big piles of K-rail holdings hanging around, which is these concrete blocks? It's to stop idiots in trucks driving through the yards. We are exceeding the speed limit just a little at the moment. We are going downhill, so I will put on a very light brake application. Just an initial reduction, and if we pop back to the cab, you'll see that this is a pretty light one. It's coming on now. And you can see this number here has gone negative, so we definitely are slowing down. And that's fine, that'll be adequate. We are back below 10, so I'm going to release it now. It'll take a while to come off anyway, so we can just continue to roll. We are already in neutral on the throttle. You can hear the brakes are on. You'll hear it when they go off. Can we actually see them on this car? Yeah, we should see the brake blocks actually come off. So the brake blocks, this thing here, there it goes. I just released then. So you get an idea of just how long it takes from when they're put on at the front to when they come on at the back, and vice versa. It's not a quick thing. We are speeding up again, I can feel it. So I'll put on another light brake application. Has that come on yet? There you go, it's just come on now. And releasing again. We are on quite a steep downhill gradient now, 1.1%. And from releasing those brakes before, they've only just come off. About 0.7 miles away from where we're going now. Let's just come in here and watch the brake blocks again, because I'm going to put on another small application. So here it goes, it's gone on. 1, 2, there you go, only just come on. And that's with only 30 cars, so imagine if there was 200 of them. Now you've got to be careful of doing what's called pissing away your air. So if you apply the brake and then release it, and then apply it again before the train's fully recharged, and then release it, and then apply it again before the train's fully recharged, and then release it, you will come to a point where the train will equalise and you won't actually be able to apply the brakes anymore. Because the brakes are applied by an absence of air in the brake pipe. Ooh, the suspension actually makes these cars look quite good, doesn't it? Says he getting distracted. Yeah, they are independently suspended now. That's quite cool. But the it's the absence of air in the brake pipe that makes the brakes come on, but it's stored air on each carriage, which is used to apply the brakes. Gradient's lessening now, but don't forget most of the train's still coming down the steep part, so I've got a fairly heavy brake application on at the moment. Let that come down a bit more. I'll release that now, because it'll be a while before that comes off, as we'll be able to tell if we come and have a look. So it's been a good 10 seconds, and that actually hasn't released yet. There you go, it's only just starting to release now. So that fairly heavy application, that took probably 15-20 seconds before they've released. So you're starting to get an idea of the times involved. Now if we go back in the cab, you'll see that's still pumping up, so 87, but we're showing 90 up here. Still pumping. Still pumping. So gradually you lose air every time you do it because it takes a while to recharge. And once you equalize, basically stuffed. At that point, you just dump the air out with the emergency brake and hope for the best. Hope there's enough braking pressure in the cars that are charged up to be able to stop the ones that aren't. Alright, let's do a full service application now to stop the train completely. That'll be fine. Notice what I said about that marker. It's saying 470 something yards. That's because the distance to you, not the distance to where the back of the train is. There you go, objective complete. And we want to uncouple, saying 6 yards, that's because it's up near us, so that's probably the locomotives, I would guess. Because that would be 6 yards from where my character is sitting. So we will fly up here. Turn off the bell on the way. There's the San Bernadino passenger yard over there. Passenger depot, I should say. See all the people waiting for their trains. And I'll be watching this activity over here, because why? They've got nothing else to do. Alrighty, it does want us to uncouple here, so we go to the coupling bar up here, so white thing, there we go. Uncoupled there. And we're going to go back where we came from, basically. So, reversing. Release the brakes. And we'll just throttle, because it will take a little while anyway for the brakes to come off, even though it's only the locomotives, because that was a heavy one. And while we're doing that, let's just have a look at the path we have to take. We're safe for a while. So we do need to change this set of points. The new colours are really helpful, I find. They're much better than they used to be. And we're coming up to this point here. That's our stop marker. Star is the stop. Right, let's come off the power because we are going a bit quick, but that's okay. We don't want this tutorial to go on forever. And we've just been working through the instructions. We're almost at the end of this service. Some people find shunting and switching a bit of a challenge. And yeah, I know, I'm a ducktail ambassador, but I also play Railroader. I actually prefer the shunting in that one because you've got this massive yard of stuff that you've got to sort out. And it's up to you to work it out. There's nothing going, go here, uncouple this, do this, couple this, take it here. There's none of that. You just have to figure it out for yourself. And I do kind of prefer that. There are some sandbox shunting scenarios in the game. There's none in San Bernadino, but on Cajon there is, and Sherman Hill there is, where you've got a yard that's just like that. It's full of stuff, you've got to get it into a particular order to get it to go. And the other thing that you can always do is use free roam, and free roam in Sandbox, spawn yourself into an empty yard somewhere, populate it with a whole bunch of carriages, and put them together to your heart's content. I'm not even watching where I'm going. Just sitting there doing nothing. Oh, I'll just watch. Might watch. Got a camera outside. Let the camera watch. Now, just while we're approaching these points, let's just have a bit of a look at what's around us. Is there anything moving? No, I think we're pretty much okay. There's nothing coming or going at the moment, so that's fine. Pretty much all of the switching on San Bernadino is actually just, well, all of the freight services rather, are just moving carriages around, either from one yard to another or moving them around within a yard, like this service was. There's delivering to and picking up from various local industries. At the time of running this is a pre-release version. A couple of those services aren't working because they do things like go out of bounds or the rolling stock's not configured properly. I have logged those things as I found them, and if you find any more, feel free to let me know. Or you can go through support, either way is fine. We're stopping there and that's just it. Does appear to be. So we're not quite going back where we came from, we're just going near it. So I think we came from that track up there and that's not where we're going. Now one of the things that's relatively useful, if you finish this service, we'll try it with this one and we'll see if it's one of the ones that does, but quite a lot of them actually dovetail together. And if you finish one and it takes you out to the achievement screen and you can select to continue and go into free roam and you pop back in the chair that you're in the locomotive that you were in, sometimes it's already ready to go on to the next service. And I found quite a few like that. So we'll try this one and we'll see if it is. Knowing my luck, it won't be, because, you know, it's just life. That'll do. Alright, so we've just finished that one. We've got the achievement screen. We've gotten our platinum medal, despite the fact that we were speeding a little bit. But we did get used safety systems, so we lost 310, but we gained 330 for using the safety systems. So if I say continue, return to free roam, puts us back in this one, and look at that, we're going straight into another service. It's going to wait for it because it doesn't start for a little while, but it'll go boonk, and then we can start driving. In fact, we are ready to do it because we're late. So there's quite a few like that, and it's just a cool thing. You can make a whole day of gameplay out of just running these services, just returning to free roam, and there you are, right there in the next one, ready to go. Excuse me, bit of a dry throat. Well, anyway, that's it for this one. I'm not going to take you through the next one because, you know, save something for the live streams. Alrighty, well, have fun, folks. Enjoy yourselves. If this has been helpful, thumbs up and subscribe. And if you've got any questions, chuck them in the comments down below and I'll see what I can do to help you out. In the meantime, enjoy. Have fun with Train Sim World 5. Bye now. See ya.
We played a game.